Good morning. Well, I always say that I tend to only make any kind of video in the morning because it's just when I have time to do it. And so I'm always saying, oh, good morning. Well, yeah, good morning. I wanted to talk about I'm on a video. I wanted to talk about a book series that I've been listening to. And I want to talk about where I'm listening to it, and I want to talk about the options for listening to it. And my nose is stuffy this morning. I don't know. I guess it's the shift in weather, but so pardon my sniffle there. There's a book series the series is called Growing Seasons, and the very first book is entitled Growing Seasons. There's Growing Seasons, Harvest Season, the third one, I don't remember all the names of all of them. The Peaceful Season is the third one. That's the one I'm going to be getting onto soon. Let me see if I can get a cover to show you real quick. Okay, just a second. But the only cover that I can show you is the third one, because that's the one I have on my Kindle. Now, I've been listening, and what I did, I'm going to tell you about. I want to show you. I don't know if you can see this cover or not. Can you see the cover? There we go. My Kindle's black and white, but all of the covers are absolutely beautiful. And in color, they're especially beautiful. And Melanie Lageschulte, I think is how you say her name. I think that's how the narrator said it. Her name is one that I have a hard time pronouncing, but Melanie, I think it's Lageschulte. I've had to say it in my head the way that it's spelled so I could spell it, because it's kind of a challenge to spell, but it's for me, but it's Lageschulte. This series is called Growing Seasons, and basically in the first book, and I've listened to it on Hoopla, by the way. My Hoopla app has the first two. I also found it on Kobo Plus, but only the first one or two. And then Kindle Unlimited, I found all of them on Kindle Unlimited. I found all of them on Audible, but you have to buy them there. But there's a trick that I discovered. If you check out the book, or at least I did this with the third one, okay? I have no idea if it'll work with the rest of them. I kind of hope it does. But I checked out the third one on my Kindle Unlimited because that's where I knew that it was. And as I was checking out, it said add Audible, the Audible version of this, for $5. Now, the book is actually a lot more than that on Audible. It's a full credit, and some of them I think might be more, but it's a full credit. But they gave, by checking it out on Kindle Unlimited, I was able for $5 to add it to my Audible library so I can listen to it. And the idea being you listen and you read at the same time, but I'm going to listen because that's what I do. So if you really want to get into this series and you need a budget-friendly way to do it, you might try that. I understand about budget-friendly needs, and that is just something I have discovered. So the premise of the book, basically, the beginning, the first book, you find out in Growing Season, that's the first book, Growing Seasons. The woman works in corporate America, and she loses her job. I think the company downsizes, and there's like several of them who lose their jobs. And then her uncle has I think it was a heart attack or a stroke. I don't remember which, but he had to have heart surgery. And I actually can't even remember if we found out which one. I just know they flip over to he's having heart surgery. She'd gotten a phone call from home, from family. She's in the hospital with them. She still has no job. She hasn't figured out what to do. It was really an ugly situation when, it was a lot for her. So she finds out that they're going to need help at the hardware store in Iowa where her uncle and aunt live. Her parents live not too far away from there too, and they're going to need help at that hardware store while her uncle is recuperating. They think it's just while he's recuperating, but so she goes to kind of see if it's something maybe she thinks she can do to help, because she doesn't have anything else going on. And then she's there driving around. She finds this farm, and it's for rent. The farm is for rent. She talks to the the nephew of the farmer who lives there. The farmer is like in his 80s. He's going to visit his brother who's in a nursing home. The family's hoping that he will like the nursing home and want to stay, but they obviously can't force him because he's doing well. And they need someone to basically farm sit. So she would be taking care of sheep, chickens, a garden, and the farmhouse, and living there. And they give her like this amazing discount on the rent and everything if she will do it. And she decides to take the plunge. And so then that book and the subsequent books are the adventure that involves. And it's been so great. I mean, talk about gardens and sheep, and she's working at the hardware store, and chickens, and even the process of, canning strawberries, and learning about the farmers, and learning about the community, and learning what rural America was like, is like. The narrator, if you like audiobooks, the narrator is Leslie Howard. She is one of my favorite narrators. She's just got, I find her voice to be very soothing, and she does a very good job. I think she's just a perfect fit for women's fiction, and this is women's fiction. This is a woman who is now taking on the role of farmer. And you see a woman doing jobs that women are doing, but these jobs have, typically been advertised as jobs men are doing, but women are doing them. And then you see the community welcome this young woman and help her as she learns. And I have spent so many hours with these people and just thoroughly enjoyed being present. I intend to purchase all the Audible books and the physical copies of these books. Might even end up buying the digital copies, so that if I just want to use my Kindle, which happens to me, then I'll have that option. I've enjoyed them that much, and I have been listening while I work on my own farm, and I find a lot of peace and connection with the books. So I will say there are two things that I have discovered that don't fit, as far as what I like to read. Only two. And I will just tell you what they are, and just tell you that they don't fit what I like to read, but I have found them to be very minimal parts of the story. Honestly, I'm going to be frank with you and tell you that if it had been my preference, they wouldn't have been in the books. They don't fit. There's no need for them, and the books would have stood as classics without those. It's not, the author didn't need to add something to make them more attractive to people. These books would have stood as classics without those. One is, there is a one foul word in the first book, and I think I found one foul word in the second book. And there is a relationship that is mentioned in the first book and a relationship that is mentioned in the second book that are not relationships that are a part of my belief system or my interest. And both of those things take about a minute out of both stories. You can add both of those things together in the first story and both of those things together in the second story. It took about a minute out of the stories, and so that's how small those are. But that's the reason why I've been able to say that this was a minimal part of the story. Honestly, I feel like it detracted from the beauty and the charm of the story to try to throw things in just to be culturally, to show that maybe you're culturally with it or whatever. For me, just give the story, because it had nothing. Both of them had nothing to do with the story or the characters. It just wasn't a part of it. It didn't fit. It just didn't fit. But I think, aside from that, and that's just my opinion, somebody else might read them and go, oh, those fit perfectly. And you know what? If that's your feeling, you have that right. We all have our own views about books, and so that's fine. But that aside, I thus far, and I'm only to the end of the second book so far, and there's several books. I'm looking forward to finishing them all, but so far, 2 books in, I can say I adore the series. I don't know what twists and turns it may take in the future, but this is what I've been listening to lately, and it has been feeding my soul. It has been feeding my soul. And, we all have to find things that will feed our souls, because life is crazy. It's crazy. It's challenging. It's hard sometimes. And just walking with these people while I walk my own days and my own life has been feeding my soul. And there have been a couple of book series that I have found over the past year that I could say fed my soul that way. And this is one of them. And I typically, when I find one that does, I listen to a lot of books, because for a long time I didn't think that I could really do that, but then I found I just didn't have time. If I wanted books, I had to listen, because I just didn't have time to sit and read as much as I wanted to. There's too much work for me to do. And I am finding that for the book series that really feed my soul, I tend to gravitate toward collecting them on Audible or on the Kobo audio version to listen to. And I really enjoy walking with those characters. And so there'll be times when I'll go, I'm going to go walk with those people for a while, and I'll listen to them, while I work. And that has been a great blessing for me. So that is my update for what I've been listening to lately, and I'll see you next time.